Reuters.
40 years ago, Soviet tanks moved into Prague, crushing what came to be called the Prague Spring, an attempt by Czech reformists to establish what they called socialism with a human face. It took more than 20 years and the Velvet Revolution before Soviet forces left. 4 decades later, the Czech Republic is now a democracy within NATO and the European Union. But with Russian forces now in Georgia, some Czechs are worried again. The two invasions differ on many points, but some in the West see the current crisis as a throwback to the Cold War. U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice was in Tbilisi last week.
This is no longer 1968 and the invasion of Czechoslovakia, when a great power invaded a small neighbor and overthrew its government. The free world will now have to wrestle with the profound implications of this Russian attack on its neighbor for security in the region and beyond.
The simmering crisis over the rebel Georgian region of South Ossetia began earlier this month when Georgia sent forces to try to retake the Russian-backed province, provoking a massive counterattack by Moscow. Russian forces have not yet left Georgia after pledging to do so in a ceasefire agreement. Some now wonder if the crisis could be a prelude to a new Cold War. But Justin Logan of the Cato Institute says the Russia of today is no counterweight to the United States.
It's strong enough to throw its weight around in small countries on its borders, but that's a fundamentally different scenario than talking about global competition with the United States.
The United States has seen initial signs that Russia is withdrawing some of its forces from Georgia, but U.S. officials continue to say Moscow is not moving fast enough. Deborah Luderbeck, Reuters.
European Affairs Chairman Matthias Iorsi and a convoy of colleagues had planned to visit the Georgian city of Gori. Instead, they came to a grinding halt at this checkpoint as Russian troops stopped them entering. Iorsi and his party were eventually allowed to pass after negotiating with the soldiers.
We are in the territory of Georgia, and I see Russian soldiers stopping us when we are visiting a Georgian city. The only good news I can tell you that international community is fully united in supporting Georgia for getting back its territorial integrity.
There's still no sign of Russian troops withdrawing from the Gori checkpoint or at the village of Igoeti, where dozens of people demonstrated their opposition to the continuing presence of the soldiers. Igoeti is the nearest checkpoint to the Georgian capital, Tbilisi. Russian military trucks have been seen heading back over the border out of Georgia, but there's still no sign of any large-scale withdrawal demanded by the West. Paul Chapman, Reuters.
We've been reaching out to our reporters around the globe on the Russian-Georgian conflict. I'm joined now by George Kvishetnadze. He is a photographer living in Tbilisi who submitted these images of a refugee camp there. He joins me right now live from his home. George, tell me how life has changed for you just in the past 10, 11 days.
Hello, everyone. I mean, life has changed like from day to night. I can't stay in the office and not to do anything with what's happening. And what I could do, I found it myself. I can take pictures, I can show what's happening here to the world. And iReport website gave me this opportunity to send my photos, upload and share to the world.
You talk about sharing this with the world. What was it like being at one of these refugee camps? What are we not seeing on the news?
I'm not a professional reporter, I'm an art photographer, so it was really hard for me to get into the camp and take photos where people were lying, you know, there. So I took a very small part, what was outside. It was a lot of children, people who lived in their houses 3-4 days ago, and they were forced to go and live in the field, in the temporary camps, tents.
We can see some of those images now, George. We appreciate your submissions to iReport.com, painting the picture of what life is like there in Tbilisi.
It's a World Heritage Park and it's burning. It's also in Georgia, and the Russians are being accused of deliberately trying to destroy their national treasure. Firefighters have been in Borjomi forest since the blaze broke out last Friday. Georgia's Interior Minister says that's when Russian helicopter gunships swooped over the region, dropping bombs on the densely wooded hills. Locals have been trying to help the fire crews, but 500 hectares of forest have already been destroyed.
We've reached the fires and are trying to shovel earth over them to smother the flames. We're using shovels and any other tool that might work, anything that might help the firefighters.
The coniferous forest is home to bears and red deer. It also has ancient villages and churches and is a favourite destination for Georgian tourists. Turkish and Ukrainian aviation teams have now joined in the firefighting operation. Russia has denied any involvement in it. Sonia Legg, Reuters.